eyes. I like to roll my shoulders up to my ears and then back to the back of the room and down. It just allows me to relax those shoulders. And normally when I start a class, I've been focusing this month on meditation. So I would talk about focusing on the breath. But today, I'd like you to try and focus on the mind. And just all the things that are running through that chatter. I know mine's pretty busy right now, trying to sort out the tech stuff this morning. I'm just seeing if you can let it run like the TV in front of your mind, but not really get too involved with those thoughts. Psychology and yoga are really finely intertwined because the action of meditation or the exercise of meditation is an act of controlling the mind and understanding the mind better, which is actually what brought me to yoga more than even the asana or the physical practice. And today we'll focus on mindset and how your mind affects your reality. And you can have a little exercise of this yourself. If you start thinking about some negative things that have happened in your life, and just feel how your body instantly shrinks around those thoughts. Maybe you feel it in your stomach or in your heart. You feel this deep pull of sadness or darkness. And then switching gears now, so we're not staying there too long. We focus on positive things in your life. Maybe a time when you felt really proud of yourself or really happy. Just see if you sit a little taller or you feel a little lighter. Maybe there's a little smile to the face. And we know through psychology that we link things in our mind that are the same. Our neurons are connected. So starting with a positive thought at the beginning of your day can really help you connect other positive thoughts in your mind, which then shape your reality. See if you can focus on that positive thing that's happened to you this week or recently to lift that mood. Keeping the eyes closed and keep focusing on that positive event or thing that has happened. And let it wash over your whole being. If anything else starts to creep into the mind, just really take that thought back to that positive memory or that positive thought. And really feel yourself in that moment, everything about that moment. And gently starting to blink open the eyes. And we'll come into some side bends. My computer's saying something weird. Okay. We'll come into some side bends. And thanks for staying with me, guys. I really appreciate you persevering with us too. So we're going to lift the left hand up and exhale. We're going to side bend over towards that right hand side. So I have my right hand on the inside of my right leg and my left hand is reaching over. And I'm opening my chest towards the ceiling. The armpit is also opening towards the ceiling and the neck and head is heavy. So we don't go too early, too soon here. Just stay where you are and keep your eyes closed. And focus on the breathing or even that positive visualization we had at the start of class. Neck and head is heavy, jaw is relaxed. Second hand position, the left hand comes up and over and points towards the left hand side, but the hands are off the floor. So what we're going for is this really juicy stretch through the side of the neck. The more that you allow your neck to relax, the stronger that stretch will be. If it feels intense for you, I like to place my hand under my right cheek to allow that hand to take the weight of my head sometimes when I'm feeling a little bit more stressed or I'm unable to allow my head to relax. And just breathing into that space, into the side of that left neck and shoulder. Anatomically today, we're focusing on binds and hips. And we'll be focusing on, spiritually, our mental mind and our thoughts. The left hand third arm position wraps behind you. Maybe, I'll just turn around so you can see. Maybe it grabs your thigh, or maybe if that's too intense right now, the hand just rests on your lower back. The goal here is to roll that shoulder open. We're getting ready for some binds this morning. So if you find that the shoulder is rolling towards the floor, see if you can roll it towards the ceiling to get that rotation of the shoulder. If you have got the bind, it sometimes is a really nice move to intensify that stretch through the neck as well. To come out of the pose, the right hand goes to the side of the cheek as you slowly bring yourself up. Bringing the right knee in towards the body and the left leg out. We'll go to the other side. So I'll bring the left hand on the inside of the leg and the right hand comes up as you exhale and fold over. Again, it's not a closing of the chest and a forward fold. It's actually a side bend. So what we're looking for is this stretch through the side of the body. And to make sure that we're getting this, you can shine that armpit towards the roof. And I like to rotate my shoulder and allow me to fold to the side. Being mindful we're not warm yet, so take it easy, not your deepest expression of a side bend. Relax neck and head even more, so bring chin slightly to chest and then left ear to left shoulder. It's a nice opportunity to close the eyes and breathe. Number 16, Ross. Second arm position, the top hand comes up and over and points towards the right side of the room. Neck and head stay heavy and relaxed, creating space between the teeth so the jaw isn't clenching. Maybe the left hand comes under the left cheek and hold the weight of the head. Third arm position, hand comes behind you, maybe for a bind, and allowing yourself to relax again in the same side bend. This is going to be rolling that top shoulder open and also releasing through the scalenes or the side of the neck and also in the top of the trapezius, which gets really tight in some people like me. So if this is a challenge for you, I encourage you to breathe into that space. And if your head feels a bit stressed, you can just hold the side of your face. It just will take some of that weight for you. To come out, you use the left hand to bring your head to center. So we're not using the muscle, we're just using our arm. And then coming out of your side bend and down onto your backs. We'll get our core nice and engaged before the class. So bring your feet in towards your glutes, interlace your hands behind the back of your head, elbows up towards the roof, and then bring your shins up so they're parallel to the floor and flex the toes. Inhale to come up to center. Exhale, both elbows to left knee, straighten right leg. Inhale back. Exhale, both elbows to right knee, straighten left leg. Inhale to center. One more on each side. Let's take it slow. Slowly crossing over, using all of that abdominal work. Take it slow, don't make it quick. Inhale to center. Exhale to the other side. So the slower we do this and the more control, the more difficult it will be. Inhale back to center. Exhale, neck and head down. Well, second round, we'll take it to the next level with extra activation. So bringing the legs up, elbows up towards the roof. Exhale, both elbows to left knee, straighten right leg. Stay as you are. Squeeze your pelvic floor and your glutes. Push your lower back into the floor. Squeeze your lower abdomen and hold. Inhale to center. Exhale to the other side. So squeeze the glutes, squeeze the pelvic floor, push the lower back into the floor, suck the lower belly in. Inhale to center. One more on each side. Exhale to the other side. Squeeze booty, squeeze the core, push that lower back into the floor. That's a key. And when I say pull the lower belly down, suck in the core as much as you can. Inhale to center. Exhale the other side. You got it. Booty squeeze, core squeeze, push lower back into floor, lift head and shoulders up even higher. Inhale back to center and exhale to relax down. So that whole core area should now feel switched on. We take both the knees down towards the right. Exhale. Inhale to center and then both knees down towards the left. Inhale back to center. And we'll bring the knees in towards the chest. If you like to do a little rock and roll, you're welcome to do a rock and roll here. If you prefer to just come to a tabletop, you can do that as well. Tabletop position. Inhale, the right hand comes up. We're coming to a thread the needle. And exhale underneath the body, releasing that right shoulder to floor. There's a little option here if you want to take it and you've been doing yoga with me for a while. So we're going to put our weight onto that right shoulder and we're going to extend that right leg out. The left hand is going to come up. Now I want you to put all of your weight onto your shoulder and nothing onto your head. Push into that right hand and see now if by doing that and also into that left foot. So left hand and right hand, left foot and right hand take the weight with the shoulder. Can you lift that back leg? Maybe there's a little bind. It's really important here to put a lot of the weight into that right hand and the left foot and the shoulder, not into the head. If you feel anything in the head, come out, please. Now to come out, we release that back leg and back down to floor. Just an option, you don't have to take that one. Left hand to floor, come back to center, and let's do the other side. Thread the needle, left hand up. Exhale under the body. Release that left shoulder into floor. Now you can stay here in your thread the needle. If you want to try something a little bit extra, you push into that left hand and the right foot to support you. The left leg goes out, the right hand comes up towards the sky, and then start to lift that foot. If that feels okay, you can bend the knee, reach behind you, come into a little bind. Take the weight in the shoulder and push into that left hand so you're not falling over, and that right foot. It's really a bit of a balance challenge. Ensure there's no weight in the head. To come down, release the knee, release the hand, and come back to tabletop position. A few little cat-cows, so we're going to inhale, gaze up. Exhale, look to floor. Inhale, let the belly drop. And exhale back to neutral spine. Walk the hands forward, coming into downward facing dog, straightening the legs, pedaling them out. Having a smile to yourself and seeing if you can today take with you that positive energy, that mentality of holding on to what's good. Release neck and head by a little shake and nod. Just releasing the neck and head. Look between the hands, step one foot between the hands and then the other. Exhale to fold forward. Then through the knees, slowly roll up. Hands come up through heart center, breath in. And breath out, hands to heart. Close your eyes, feel into your feet. So we'll say feel into the feet because it's the furthest thing away from your head. So sometimes to get into the body, it's quite nice to actually feel into that sensation of the toes and the feet. Hands up to sky, breath in. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands down. Step back into high plank. So with your planks, you always have a few options. The first one is your knees are going to be up and you're protracting through shoulders. The glutes are always switched on, so just check if you're hanging out in the booty. You want to squeeze the glutes and then bring your chest over your hands. Chaturanga option 1, lower the knees. Bring chest forward, bend the elbows. The whole body is stiff like a plank and comes all the way to the ground. Inhale to a baby cobra. So the palms are on the floor, just under the shoulders. Roll the shoulders back, squeeze the glutes, tilt the tailbone towards your feet, zip your legs together, maybe lift the legs and lift the hands if you want a bit more. Neck neutral to floor, push into the ground, tuck toes, up and back, down dog, breath out. Look between hands, sun salutation A. Bend the knees, jump forward, inhale halfway. Exhale, fold. Breath in, sweep hands up. Breath out, swan dive to floor. Breath in, halfway, unfurl the spine, gaze down. Exhale to floor, step or jump back. If you jump back, try and control with that pelvic floor and the glutes with the jump. Move through your flow, high to low plank. Inhale to up dog. Option to lift the thighs if you have that in your practice. And exhale to down dog. This is a part of the class, sun salutation A, which is always the same. So you can really flow and just check out a little bit. Look between the hands, bend the knees, step or jump forward. We repeat things in yoga for the mind, to ease the mind. Inhale halfway and exhale, fold. Bend through knees, lift up. And exhale, fold forward. Breath in, halfway. Breath out, hands to floor. Step or jump back. Flow of your choice. So you can go in full chaturanga or you can stop at 90 degrees in the arms and come up. That's actually quite good for the shoulders as well, if you want to work on strength. And exhale, down dog. So pedaling out the legs here. Bending one knee and then straightening the other. So in yoga, the repetition is there so the mind can get a meditative result. Inhale, the right leg rises up. Exhale, sweep through the hands. Breath in, crescent lunge. So crescent lunge, we're going to wrap the shoulders so they're inside the socket. You can actually bend your elbows if you want to as well. This just releases some of the pressure in the shoulders if you do have stress in the neck and shoulders. Come a little deeper into the legs if you want to get more into your hip flexors. Push your heel towards the back of the mat if you want to get more into the hip flexors as well. Lift the toes on the front foot. Exhale into warrior two. The back foot pivots to the floor. The front heel is in line with the back instep of the foot. Gaze towards front middle finger. If you want to make this a little deeper into flexibility, come deeper into the knee, into the legs. Tilt the tailbone down, lift through chest. Exhale, hands to floor. Step back, choose your flow. Option 1, knees down. Option 2, full chaturanga to floor or to 90 degrees in the elbows. Breath in, up dog. Breath out, down dog. Left leg raises up. Exhale, sweep through the hands. Breath in, crescent lunge. Taking your option a little deeper if you want to into flexibility, or if you want to come into strength, stay high and suck everything in. Breath out, warrior two. Again, flexibility, come deeper into the hips. Strength, lift up, pulling those feet together, squeezing pelvic floor and glutes. Exhale, hands down, frame the front foot. We flow. Option one-legged chaturanga if you want to make it a little stronger. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. So we keep adding to this flow to allow that sense of repetition. Inhale, right leg rises. Exhale to come forward. Inhale, crescent lunge. Exhale, warrior two. Flip front palm, reverse. Reach up and back like you're painting the ceiling. Just check if there's any compression in that left side of the spine. I like to traction the hip here, so I push my hand into my hip to create space in my back and allows me to get more of a stretch through the front body. Release neck and head. Exhale, we come into triangle. So we straighten that front leg, sweep forward with the hands and tilt down. So here you'll be feeling a stretch through the backs of the legs, reaching up through the top hand. If you're dumping into the floor, I recommend that you lift up a little bit, just because we want to use the core. If you're down here, you're disengaging the core, and also you can be folding forward in the spine if you're not open enough through the hamstrings. So stay in strength today. Always an invitation. A little micro bend in that front knee if you're hypermobile is also really important. Bend through the front leg, hands come down. Move through your flow, taking your option, depending on how you feel today. Breath in, up dog. Breath out, down dog. Left leg rises, breath in, breath out, step between the hands, and reach up, inhale, crescent lunge. Exhale, warrior two. Reverse warrior, reach forward and back. Maybe there's a bind if you're working on binds today with me. Tractioning the hip, right hand comes to on the side of the right hip, and you push the hip bone down, which creates less compression in the spine and the hip, which gives you more space to side bend. Just an option. One more breath here. And then exhale, coming back to standing, straighten that front leg. The right hip goes towards the back of the mat as you reach forward and tilt down. It's really common for people to dump and just fold forward like this in Trikonasana. So I encourage in a power class to lift through the core. This is also going to get lift through the legs so that everything's switched on. You can grab your ankle and pull up if you want extra strength. Little micro bend in that front knee if you're feeling like your knee is hypermobile, which means that your knee is actually going back beyond the quad. Could be okay in some people, but can be a sign of injury in others. Exhale, bend through the knee, hands come down to frame the front foot, step back and flow. Of choice, always option to lower the knees. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Building again, reach right leg up, inhale. Exhale, sweep forward, we go a little faster. Inhale, crescent lunge. Exhale, warrior two. One breath, one movement. Inhale, reverse warrior. Exhale, Trikonasana, straighten front leg, tilt down. Left hand up, relax neck and head. Exhale, extended side angle. We just bend into that front knee and that bottom hand can stay on the floor. Left hand comes behind you for a half bind. If you have a full bind and you are happy with using it now, you can. Neck and head releases. Feel the stretch through the side of the neck. Keep that top shoulder rolling up rather than rounding towards the floor. Left hand undoes, come to ground, easy twist, pivot onto the back foot, ball of the foot, and open towards the right. Exhale, hands to floor. Time to flow. High to low plank. Inhale to come up. And exhale, down dog. Breath out. Breath in, left leg rises. We move quickly. Exhale, sweep between the hands. One breath, one movement. Inhale, crescent lunge. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, reverse. Exhale into triangle. Straighten the front leg. Hold for a moment. And then bending that front knee, coming into extended side angle. Option to stay on the quad or come all the way to the floor. Also an option for half bind or full bind if you feel ready. Coming deep into that front knee and pushing down the blade edge of that back foot to push the hips forward so they're flat. That'll get a bigger stretch in the hips if you want to go there. Right hand comes up and around, into easy twist. Pivot onto the back right foot, open towards the left. Again, remember that neck and head is soft. Don't worry about gazing towards that top hand. Exhale, hands frame the front foot, step back and flow. Options, high to low. Inhale to rise up. And exhale, down dog. Pedal through the legs. Inhale, right leg rises. And exhale, knee to nose. We get into the core. Inhale to rise up. Exhale, knee to left elbow. Try and keep it high rather than low. Inhale up. Exhale to right elbow. Keep it high. Tap the top tricep. Inhale, leg up. Bend the knee, open the hip. So shoulders are even, but the foot is going towards that right glute and the knee towards the roof. So we're looking for a hip opener here rather than twisting through the upper body. An option, if you want to take it, is flip dog. So flipping onto your back. I like flip dog. My knees and my ankles are stacked. My hips come up towards the roof and I reach forward. Wild thing's also an option, but a little bit more pressure on your shoulder. So just take what feels good in your body. One more breath. And exhale, hand comes down, right leg towards the roof, three-legged dog. Exhale, sweep forward, get steady through the legs, nice and deep into the lunge, going into arrowhead with control. So push through that front heel, raise up, hands back, point through the top of the head, chin to chest. Now pushing through that back heel will also get you stronger through your arrowhead as well. Pull the belly off the thigh, extended arrowhead, pistol grip, hands forward, chin to chest, get long through the neck, and we're feeling a strong strength through that front quad. One more breath. Inhale to come up, hands to heart, exhale, crescent lunge. Inhale to lengthen, exhale to twist towards the right. So we're hooking that elbow around the outside of the right thigh, and hands come to prayer or to a fist, and we let our head and neck relax as usual. And using this as leverage to twist and lift into the spine. Not to take it too far, but just to what feels good for you. There's also an opportunity for binding here if you have a bind on this side. Just an option. One more breath in. Exhale. Inhale, open up into warrior two. Come deep into that front thigh. Right hand comes up and over, left hand behind. Maybe the fingers bind, maybe not. And a little trick here is your elbows naturally want to go out to the sides. I want you to try and make them go towards the roof and the floor and open through the shoulder here. Come deeper into that front knee. Exhale, warrior two. Extended side angle. Option one is coming to the thigh. Option two to the floor. We're coming into a full bind for those of you who want to come with me. So top hand comes behind you, bottom hand underneath, maybe you bind. Rather than when we first start binding, if your chest is towards the floor, I want you to encourage that shoulder roll open. If you can't do that in a bind, just do the half bind, okay? Option if you want to take it, bird of paradise. I know you can all do it because I saw you in the studio last week. So see if you can come up and point the leg if that feels good. Now, you also have an option here for bound half moon, those of you who are comfortable with bird of paradise, and I'll start teaching that a bit more from next week. Bend the leg, step down and back to extended side angle. Hands frame the front foot, step back into plank. Right hand to the center of the mat, open towards the left. You know the options are coming onto elbow or bottom knee. To make it harder, lifting that top leg up, hands up. Last option is a bind, interlacing fingers around the toe, straightening the leg, and then the leg goes towards the roof. Hold for another two. For one, lower the leg, hands down, option for one-legged chaturanga or knees on the floor. Exhale. Breath in, shoulders open, chin to chest. And exhale, down dog. Pedaling out the legs, a little option if you want to take a quick child's pose and take a breath or a drink of water. Now's a good option. Turn the heater off maybe. Starts to get warm about now. Inhale, the left leg goes up. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale to raise up. Exhale, knee to left elbow or tricep, you get bonus points. Inhale up. Exhale, knee to right elbow or tricep, bonus points. Inhale up. Bend the knee, open the hip. So it's really common when people start with the hip openers that they do this. This is not necessarily bad. It can put a lot of pressure on your shoulder, but also it doesn't mean that you're stretching the hip. So bringing the foot towards the left glute and the knee towards the roof, and you'll feel more of a hip opener here. Also means our shoulders are in a stronger position. From here, option to flip over into flip dog, which is a little bit of a stressful position for the shoulder. So only if you're feeling healthy in the shoulders here. Knees are stacked over your ankles and you reach forward into a back bend. The more you push the hips towards the roof, the more of a back bend you'll get. Hold for 2 breaths. So we come back into 3-legged dog, so everyone meets together. And exhale, sweep between the hands. Elongate through the chest, breath in. And breath out, we come up with strength into arrowhead. So we lift the belly off the chest, push through the back heel, deep into the front knee, fingers behind you, palms facing down. Imagine there's a beam shooting through the top of your head like an arrow. Breath in, reach forward, extended arrowhead. This is where it starts to bite. Stay with me. Inhale to lift up, exhale, hands to chest. Inhale to lengthen through chest. Exhale to twist towards the left. Oh, we've got 7 people. Everybody found us. Yay. Good. Now, option is you can come into a fist if you feel like this is a lot of pressure on your wrists today for a break. Option for a bind, only an option if you have it. One more breath. Exhale, open into warrior 2. So again, deeping into the thighs, pushing through the blade edge of the back foot. Reach forward. Left hand comes up, right hand under. Maybe you can reach fingers. This is my stiff side. And again, the elbows I want to go out towards the sides of the room. See if you can bring towards the roof and the floor. Rolling the shoulders back. One more exhale. Releasing the hands. I need to take it slow on that shoulder. Reaching forward. From here, extended side angle. Option 1, you can stay here, resting on the quad. Option 2, hands to floor. Option 3, half bind. So maybe the hand comes behind to grab the quad, or full bind if you've been practicing with that with me recently. If you have full bind, step forward, coming into your not pigeon, I'm saying flying pigeon, into bird of paradise. Bird of paradise is much prettier than a pigeon, so. And reaching, if you're up, then you start to straighten through that leg. And when you've had enough, you bend the knee and try and control the movement down. It's also a really great balance work coming out of that pose. Back into extended side angle. Hands frame the front foot, step back into plank. Left hand to the center of the mat, open towards the right side plank. Option, lower the bottom knee, come onto elbow to make it easier. Lift the top leg to make it harder. Hardest option, if you want to interlace fingers around the big toe, straighten the leg, and then start to lift the hips for a bind. Just an option, you don't have to take it. Let's hold for another breath. Inhale, exhale. Come back into a plank, maybe one-legged chaturanga, maybe knees to floor. Exhale, come down. Inhale up. Emma, I hope you're not asleep yet and you're still with us. And exhale into down dog. Pedaling out the legs. Shaking the head a little bit. A nod, yes. And a shake, no. Looking between the hands and slowly bringing the knees between the hands. We're coming into our lunges. My computer keeps talking to me. I was wondering if Emma didn't respond, so she might be asleep. Coming into your hips here. So it's called a malasana or a yogi squat. If your heels are not on the floor, you can use a block. Bring hands to chest. And what I like to do, again, you can have the option of using a fist here if you've had a lot of extension through the wrist. Otherwise, hands to prayer. I like to bring my elbows onto the inside of my thighs and force them out a little bit. And it allows me to get deeper into the hips. Tilt tailbone towards the floor and lift up. So you have an option to stay here and work on your flexibility. If you want to come into forest move called birthright. We're going to place the right hand onto the floor. Have your feet a little wider for this one. The left hand goes in the inside of the hip, and you're going to lift out of the pose, straighten through that shoulder, and relax neck and head. So we can't come into this one as low because it is quite difficult. You can, but it is more intense. To make it a little easier on yourself, lift your glutes up. If you're feeling really bendy and you want to do it lower, then you can try. And just close your eyes here and see what feels good in your body. Might need to make some adjustments. Inhale to center, lower the glutes down, coming back through your squat. Other side, left hand goes to floor. We're going to lift the glutes up a bit. Right hand on the thigh, not on the knee. And we straighten through the arm, and that way we straighten through the back, and neck and head relaxes. Maybe then you can adjust your position and sink down. Make sure that you're bending through the left elbow as well, so you're not forcing into the shoulder. And feel free to move around a little bit until you find the right spot for your body. Inhale back to center. So you can stay working in your squat, or if you want to come to baby bird of paradise, you can come with me. There's a few options, so choose which one works best. Right hand to floor, left hand up, coming into bind. So left hand comes behind you with the top of the hand on your back, and then the right hand comes behind. Maybe there's a bind there. Again, releasing right ear to right shoulder. Move your left foot underneath the body. So this is because it's going to take our weight. Come onto the tippy toes of the right foot. You know where we're going, those who've been coming with me today, baby bird of paradise. The more you lift your glutes up and come onto your tippy toes and then squeeze your bind, we'll be able to lift up. Have a little play. Doesn't matter if you can't make it today. And you can try the bind a little higher towards your knee, which means that you can get a bind a little easier. Come down and deep squat. I like to move around a little bit. Other side. So there's always an option if this is like no way for you, just work on the flexibility, okay? So left hand comes under, right hand up. A little trick, shoulder is in line with the knee, okay? So you're getting quite deep into your opening already. It's a bit of cheating. And then the right hand up, it's all technique, coming behind you. And then the left hand comes behind and you're binding closer towards your knee. There's only a bit of your knee sticking out here. We're not binding really low, which would be quite difficult. And then release the left ear towards left shoulder. Move that right foot underneath you. So it needs to be under your hips so it can take your weight. And you're going to come onto the tippy toes of the left foot. I'm actually on the tippy toes of my right foot here too. To lower my heel, I've got to lift my glutes up. And then I pull my bind together, come up onto tippy toes even more, and then use that strength through the right leg to lift. Point through the toe, roll the shoulders open. Little victory smile if you made it up. And to come down, we try to take it with control as well. It's good balance exercise, the exit. Coming deep into your squat. An option here for baby crow, or if you're working with crow, you can do that. Baby crow, you're going to grab your biceps, elbows are on the floor. It just has a little bit less distance to fall if you fall out of it. You're going to bring your glutes up and walk them into the tops of your triceps, almost at your armpits. And then look forward towards the top of your mat. Lean forward a lot, and then eventually you'll be able to start to lift the toes. It's like a little baby. If you nose plant off with this one, it doesn't really matter. It's not very far. So it's a good beginning crow pose to practice. When you've had enough, you can do a crow jump back if that's in your practice and meet us in down dog. Pedaling out the legs, giving the head a little bit of a shake and a nod. Inhale the right leg up and exhale, sweep between the hands. We're coming into a low lunge on the left. So recommend the padding here. Placing it underneath that left knee. Inhale to come up, interlace the fingers around the quad, push down into the quad. And what we're doing is we're pushing onto the quad so we get contact with the femur, which is the bone in the front leg, and then we pull it forward. So what this is doing is intensifying the stretch through the hip flexor at the front of the leg. Now I like to roll onto the soft part of my knee, the front of the patella. I'm not right up here crunching into my knee and then forward. If you bring the hips forward, it is a lot more comfortable on the knee. Or just put a really chunky pillow under the knee if there's any pain. Inhale to come up and exhale into, actually let's go back into it and grab our back leg. This is a good one for the quad. Just an option, if you do want to take it a little further, you can bring that knee in towards the glutes. Try to keep the hip bones straight towards the front of the mat. Just an option, you don't have to take this if this feels awful. Release the back foot gently, hands to floor, and exhale into half splits. So we're straightening that front leg. For me, I've got a bend in my knee here because my hamstring is a little twingy on this side. So you have to look after your body. Inhale, we lengthen through chest, and exhale to fold. Inhale, walking the hands forward, and exhale back into half splits. So I come up onto my back toes and bring my glutes back. Make sure my hips are even and chest is nice and straight. Inhale back to center. Coming into aero lunge, for those of you who know it. Interlace hands around the top of the shin, fingers. And here we're just going to lift that back leg just a little bit off. So we're lifting up and we're going to hold for 5, 4, maybe hands up, 3, 2, and 1. Hands to floor first, then the knee. Coming into lizard, we walk the right foot over towards the right side of the room. Come down into the elbows and release neck and head. Now, elbows might not be available for you, so up on your hands is totally cool. You might want to make a little fortress with blocks or anything that's available at home. The main thing is we're feeling through the front hip flexor here. And what I like to do, which I invite you to try, is just close your eyes and feel into this pose. It might be that internal chatter of how much you hate this pose, or maybe there's internal chatter of how much you love this pose. And just observe that. Flying dragon, we come up onto our hands and then rotate onto the blade edge of that right foot. The right hand comes onto the inside of the thigh and opens the hip. Micro bend in that left shoulder, so we're not in the left elbow, so we're not dumping. Maybe an option if you have more space and you want to use this as an opening opportunity, you can reach back and grab that back foot, bringing in foot to butt. Just an option. Don't have to do that. It's quite deep into your quad and back bends as well, so take it easy. To deepen it, you can come down onto your elbow. One more breath. And exhale, if you had the back foot bound, just take down with control, no slingshotting, and come into half pigeon. So we're walking that foot over towards the left side of the mat and evening the hips towards the floor. Walking the hands forward. If you have a tweaky knee, doing a figure 4 on your back is a really great option here as well. I encourage you to point the toes. It's great to flex the foot if the shin is parallel to the mat, but if it isn't, which is most of us, it's actually better to point it so it protects the knee. And this is where we can start to see how our mind shapes our reality. This is a great pose to demonstrate that, because some people really hate this pose and they fight it, and some people really love it. I know Emma loves this pose. Some people really do love it. And depending on what your mind serves you is your experience. So see if you're fighting this pose, if you can let that inner dialogue go and see if you can find a sense of enjoyment or purpose of this. Just an option. You can stay here if you're finding this really juicy and enjoyable. If you want to try King Pigeon, which the whole class is gearing up towards this pose, you can reach up onto your hands, bend your knee even more, flex your toes. They're going to be your brakes to stop you from falling forward. And you're coming up onto your front shin almost, and that right glute is off the floor. And we're going to bend that back knee. Left hand comes behind you. The right hand is in front of your face so that you don't fall forward. Now just have a play here with bringing that foot towards the glutes. If that feels good, or like for me, it feels quite nice. I've been practicing this one with you guys now for a little bit. So I'm going to have the toes on the inside of my back elbow and just stay there. Maybe grab your shoulder. This is a really great way to work on this pose. If you want to come up, just make sure that that foot feels like it can hold you, and then you can reach behind you into a bind. Keep your chest open towards the side of the room to start. This is a really great way of starting in this pose. And over time, you can start to work to open the chest towards the front of the room. To come out of the pose, when you're ready, come back through pigeon. And then you can gently, when you're feeling ready, push into a downward facing dog and pedal out the legs. Keep it here for a little bit longer than usual and really be sensitive with yourself after all of those hip openers. Just see what's coming up in the mind after that. The hips have a really amazing way of bringing up things that are buried. So just observe if that happened for you, if you were feeling frustrated, or if that felt good, that's great as well. Left leg rises up, breath in. Exhale, sweep between the hands. We're coming into a low lunge, lowering that back knee to floor. Coming forward into your lunge, and then lifting up, interlace hands around that front shin, quad. We're pushing down to get a bit of pressure onto the muscle and the femur, and then we're pulling forward. Now, this might just not feel good for you. So if it doesn't, I want you to honor your own body and not do anything where you feel pain. Your back knee really doesn't like this. You can come a little deeper, take the pressure of your body weight with your hands, okay? There's always an option. If you really don't want to be on your knee, you can work on strength and lift the back leg. There's always something you can do. Just check that your hips are not opening towards the right and twisting. Want to keep them straight. Want an even stretch through both sides. Inhale, hands come down towards the floor, and exhale into half splits. We're straightening through that front leg. Checking your hips are even. Often what will happen is the right hip will twist back and the left will come forward. So if you can pull the right hip forward. So the hips, I like to think about it, the hip bones are shining towards the front of the mat. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, coming back to your half splits. Lengthen through torso and exhale to fold, trying to keep the back as straight as possible rather than rounding forward too much. Try to keep chest open, and gaze can even be towards just in front of your foot. So the neck is nice and neutral, but not all the way down. Inhale, come back. Aero lunge, we place the top of the foot towards the floor. This is coming into strength. Interlace hands around, place it on the leg. This is option 1. Or option 2, which is harder, is hands up. Take a breath in to prepare. Exhale, push the foot into the floor and use the strength just to lift the knee a little bit off the floor. If you're coming right up, it's a different work. I want it nice and low. Hands up for 3, for 2, for 1. Hands to floor, then lower that back knee. Left foot walks towards the left side of the floor, lizard pose. Maybe on your hands, maybe on your elbows. Maybe you're so bendy you can start to your chest a little further forward. Trying to keep that left foot flat to the floor rather than coming out to the side. That's just a different stretch. Keeping the knee towards the body will actually make this harder. If you start to open, it's a different stretch. We'll be doing that in a minute. One of the beautiful things about yoga is that quiet to check in and feel into your physical body. Coming up onto your hands, coming onto the blade edge of that left foot, flying dragon. Left hand comes on the inside of the thigh to gently encourage it to open. Maybe there's a little micro bend in that right shoulder to protect the joint. If you want a little deeper, left hand behind you, bring the foot in towards your glutes, take the bind, and then remember to lean forward as well if you want to deepen it. If this is really intense, you'll come up a little higher. If you're feeling super bendy, coming down onto your right elbow and open up that left side. Just giving options for everyone at different levels. Take what feels good. Take the back leg down without a slingshot. And then half pigeon. Again, seeing what comes up as far as your internal dialogue when the words half pigeon come up. Walking your hands down and getting comfortable as possible in the pose. If you want to deepen the experience, you can tuck the back toe and then pull that back hip a little further behind you. Figure 4 on your back is a great option if you have a tweaky knee. And then seeing if you can reach forward with the chest, grow long, and exhale to fold. And see if your internal dialogue now can be an object of meditation. See if you can start to think of positive things or think of things that might lighten your spirit in this pose. And see if that changes your experience. Option to stay here a little longer, or if you wish to come into your king pigeon, you can raise the chest up. So you're going to bend the knee quite a lot in this one and activate those front toes. And we'll come up onto, you can see that my glutes are sitting quite high for this one, and that's okay for your king pigeon. You're going to bend that back leg. The left hand comes in front of your face. Right hand reaches behind you and pulls the foot towards the glutes. This already is pretty intense and also gets into your back. So just stay here if this is already where you're feeling it. Come onto the fingers of the front hand. If you want a little more, you can place the foot on the inside of your elbow and use that to pull the foot towards the butt. If you're feeling the back bend quite intensely here, I'd recommend you stay. If you want to come up, reaching behind you, binding the hands, using your front toes to hold you up. And we'll just stay for a couple of breaths because it's quite intense. And when you do want to come out or you're about to fall out, make sure that your front hand catches you and gently release that back leg when you feel like you've had enough. And all of us will come out from the pose that we're in and we'll meet back in downward facing dog. Pedaling out the legs. Looking between the hands, bringing the knees down between the hands as we come onto our backs. Coming into, we'll take one bridge pose. So tickle the backs of the heels. And it's good to place a block between the quads because that activates through the legs. So recommend you do that if you have one at home. Breath in to prepare. Exhale, lift those hips up. Roll the shoulders underneath your body. Activate through those quads. So squeeze them together, push through the heels, and then pull your heels towards your head. So we'll activate through your hips and your hamstrings. Lift the toes, push through the balls of the foot and the heel. And slowly we can start to come out. So releasing the upper back, middle back, and lower back. Removing that block from behind you. And we'll come into a shoulder stand. So if that's a little intense, you can put your feet up against a wall or place a block underneath the hips and raise your legs up. You may want to grab the backs of your legs if it feels more comfortable for you. Otherwise, shoulder stand. If you're in your shoulder stand, it's quite difficult for me to talk, so I won't talk much. Legs together, point towards the roof. You're kind of flointing your toes between a point and a flex. Maybe plow, where your feet come behind over the head. Maybe they touch the floor, maybe they don't. Not for me today. Some days they don't. Keeping your hands on your lower back if your feet are not flat on the floor. To come out of your plow, hands come onto the floor like brakes, palms facing down. Control with your core and control with the hands, slowly exiting, really allowing your back to come down onto the ground like a chain. Feet onto the floor and extend them out in front of you. Taking a moment to flatten. Take a big breath in. Exhale, the right knee comes in towards the chest. Interlace hands around the shin. Pull it in nice and tight towards the chest. An opportunity for a little bit more of a hip stretch. Exhale, the knee comes up over the body, coming into your twist. Both shoulders on the floor, gaze towards the roof, close the eyes. Inhale, gently unfurling back to laying on your back. We'll be swapping sides. So we straighten the right leg and the left knee. Exhale comes in towards the chest. Interlace fingers around shin, pulling it deeply towards chest. Feeling that hip stretch. Exhale, bring the knee over the top of the body, twisting towards the other side. Again, we keep that, have a play with keeping the head neutral, so gaze towards the roof. And both shoulders on the floor, keeping that stretch through the lower back. I like to bring my right hand on top of my left knee and invite it a little deeper. Inhale, slowly coming back to center. And taking any last movements you feel you need. I always love a happy baby at the end of class. I like to push my lower back into the floor. It allows me to straighten through the spine, bring the chin to chest, elongate through the neck. And I like to pull my feet down towards, so my knees come towards my armpits. This is incredibly neutralizing for the spine. And when you're feeling ready, coming into your final resting pose, your Shavasana. Bringing attention to the noises in your environment. Maybe the sounds that are outside the room. And then inside the room. When you're feeling ready, start to wiggle fingers and toes. Maybe making little fists with the hands and rotations of the wrists. Inhale, reach the hands up overhead, stretching through tips of fingers to bottoms of toes. And exhale, knees into chest, giving yourself a cuddle. Maybe rocking from side to side and massaging the sacrum on the floor. Little circles with the knees. Keeping eyes closed and rolling onto your favorite side. Knees stay into chest. Helping yourself up to a comfortable seated position with care. And once you're here, just keep your eyes closed, relax shoulders back and down. As we take a moment to really feel into that space of our mind being such a huge motivator for our reality. And knowing that we have the power to catch ourselves and catch our mind and choose which thoughts we want to keep and which thoughts are no longer serving us. Bring your hands to your heart center. And I'll finish with a quote, which is actually from The Secret, I think. And it is that whether you think that you can't or whether that you think you can, either way, you are right. And what that means is that if you believe you can do something, you most likely will do it. And if you believe that you won't or you can't, you're self-sabotaging yourself, and that'll mean that you'll never get where you want to go. And it's the same thing in life. We can see if we can shift the thoughts to focus on the things that are going right and the things that we can control and the small things that we can do to stay positive, like your yoga practice or your meditation or walking or running. So let's use this next 6 weeks to be really mindful of our internal dialogue and our own psychology. Namaste, everyone. Have a lovely day. Thank you so much for staying with us through our tech fun. And we've resolved the problem so it won't happen again. And I hope you have a fantastic day. And most of you found it back to me, so I'm so happy. Have a great day, guys, and see you soon.